Welcome into this week's edition of the Co-Lin Coaches Show. I'm Kevin Kyzar, Sports Information Coordinator here at Co-Lin, and joining me for our first segment, as always, is our head women's soccer coach, Joe Joe Tharp. Coach, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, of course.
And Coach, obviously it's been a couple of weeks since we talked. We had fall break last week, didn't have the show with everything that we had going on at the school, getting ready for football and those kind of things. So it's been a couple of weeks. Unfortunately, during that time, you've gone 1-2. You did get a win, a big win against East Central. We'll talk about that one in a second. The first one we want to talk about is go back to October 7th, a game at Pearl River that you lost 4-0. Your thoughts initially on that game and overall?
Well, I think we played really well for a majority of the game. It was tied 0-0 at halftime with them, and that they're a really good team. So it was a good first half from us, and honestly, 75% of the second half was really good, and then we just broke down the last few minutes and conceded 4 goals. So that's how it happened.
Yeah, I think you and I have talked, and I've talked to several other people. We played 85 minutes of really good soccer, 85 minutes of what would have been 1-0 soccer, and a loss when you look and go 1-0. That tells you how close it was. Unfortunately, those 5 minutes of not good soccer are led to 3 goals, and when they all come from the same person, I think it's a little bit frustrating because that's someone that you highlighted, knew that she was really good, and unfortunately, she was able to just take advantage of some mistakes. And again, you and I have talked to, she's probably one of the best players in the conference. So, she definitely earned it that day.
Yeah, 100%. So it was a tough game. We went over their threats and what they were good at before the game. We did really well shutting it down the first half and majority of the second. And then just all it takes is 5 minutes of switching off, and you're punished in this conference. Is how it goes, unfortunately. You
do want to mention, we talk about her every week, but Liv Conway played pretty well in this game as well, too. She gave up 4 goals, but she also had 10 saves. Pretty sure that was a season high in saves as well, too, with the 10. So, we talk about her every week. She's going out there. She's playing hurt. She's battling through. If we listed all of her injuries and people really knew everything that was going on, they'd be like, how is she even standing up? That's something I talk about every week. Again, if there was an Iron Wolf Award, Liv would get it, and she played well in this game despite giving up the 4 goals.
Yeah, Liv's been great. So it's she's in and out of practice just because of injuries, but she always shows up for games and comes up big.
And then you go to that Friday, you hosted East Central in a game that you were really excited about, a game that with a team that you already played. We talked about it, you'd beaten them 2-1. This time you get a big 5-1 victory. And your thoughts on this one and how the girls were able to come out, scored very quickly, and just carried that momentum throughout the rest of the match?
I think the girls just really wanted the game, especially bouncing back after Pearl River. We went over how well we played in Pearl River, went over how we really needed to win in the East Central game just to keep us in good standing. And the girls came out, played their game, put the ball in the back of the net, which is something that we haven't seen too much. We haven't seen 5 goals from us all year in one game, so it was a big result from us.
And you look at how the scoring happened. Ella Bell starts the scoring in the 9th minute with an assist from Christina Seymour. Then Ella scores again in the 32nd minute with an assist from Jess Abrantes. The Abrantes-Bell connection flips on the 3rd goal in the 50th minute. Jess scores with an assist from Ella, made it 3-0. East Central scored their lone goal in the 54th minute. Maybe felt like it got a little bit rocky there for a little while. The girls rebounded really quickly, though. Campbell Miller scored a goal in the 60th with an assist from Jess Abrantes. There's a theme here, folks, in case you haven't noticed it. Jess gets a hat trick of assists with a goal, with an assist in the 68th minute, goal by Maddie Logan. That made it 5-1. And really, Jess was the difference maker in this one. Anytime you factor into 4 of the 5 goals, including scoring one of them, you've had a really good day.
Yeah, of course. And it's been one of the few games that we've had both Ella and Jess on the field at the same time all year. And so and you can see that they really help. So when they're together, you can tell their connection is really strong. So.
And you shout out to both your goalies got to play in this one. Liv Conway played 82 minutes, saved 5 of 6 shots. You're able to play Catherine Romero. She didn't see a shot in the 8 minutes she played, but she got some good game time and some good experience in that one as well, too.
Yep.
And then you go back to last Tuesday. You went over to Gulf Coast. It's the only game you played last week because Friday was technically the bye day. The guys played Calhoun. We'll talk to Coach Coward about that game in his segment. But you only played the one on Tuesday. You lost 3-0 to Gulf Coast. This is a team that is improved from last year. But your thoughts overall on how your team played. And, it just felt like you made 3 mistakes and those led to all 3 goals. And if you clean up those mistakes, maybe you get a 0-0 draw or maybe you find a way to squeeze out a win there. But your thoughts overall?
Yeah, I thought we played really well. Especially at the beginning. We had an early chance at goal, hit the crossbar. I think if that goes in, it changes the whole tide of the game ultimately. But during the game, we just like you said, 3 mistakes, lost our mark 3 times. Gulf Coast is a really good team. They moved the ball really well. Actually confused us a good bit on our defensive shape just by their movement off the ball. And lost our mark 3 times. It cost us 3 goals, unfortunately. But overall, I thought we played decent. Not our best game, but definitely not our worst overall. So.
And their goals came in the 23rd, 42nd, 52nd minutes. Mentioned just a second ago that Liv Conway had a season-high saves, 10 saves against Pearl River. She broke that season high against Gulf Coast. She saved 11 of 14 shots in this one. So, again, two of the last 3 matches that Liv has played in, she set new season highs in saves. That just goes to tell you, again, we talk about it. She's out there playing injured, and she's still playing at a high level, a high level in the net for you. So she's really keeping you in games in that aspect.
Yeah, she is. And not to mention, making that kind of save against the 2, those 2 games you mentioned are 2 top 10 teams in the nation. So right now, then we move forward to the next stage of this week.
Yeah, and for those of you at home, if you're wondering, does it get easier for the Lady Wolves? No, we'll just make it real simple and take the Band-Aid off. It does not get any easier. You welcome 3 top 10 teams for your last 3 matches. You'll play 2 of those here, 1 on the road. We'll start.
Top 3.
Yeah, 2 of the top 3. One of those is this upcoming Tuesday. Number 2, recently ranked number 2, just beat the number 2 team in the nation, arguably the best team in the conference in Northwest. But you'll welcome in the Lady Bulldogs of Holmes on Tuesday, 6 o'clock kickoff for that. What do we know about that bunch, and what are you expecting out of that matchup?
I think it'll be tough, as always. When you're coming up against top teams in the nation, it's going to be tough. But we do know, and we kind of went over exactly how they play, what they want to do with the ball, and we're hoping that we can adjust our formation accordingly. Play our game and hopefully get by with a win today. Or I guess Tuesday.
And then you'll go on the road. This will be your road finale. You'll play over at Jones. It's 5:45 kickoff on that one. What do we know about the Bobcats heading into this one? This is a team that has kind of been up and down in that top 10. They've kind of stayed there for most of the year once they got in there, but you've kind of seen their results really fluctuate this year. What do we know about that bunch heading into it?
Yeah, kind of the same. They're gonna be a tough team. They're one of the last 3 teams to win the national tournament. They're really good. They're gonna be strong. Again, it's gonna be a really competitive game for us. But I think if we come out and play our game, I think we have a chance of hopefully pulling that one out as well.
So lots of exciting things happening for the Lady Wolves. Again, in their last 3, they dropped 2 of them. Lose to Pearl River 4-0. Lose to Gulf Coast 3-0. Beat East Central 5-1. They will host Holmes on Tuesday. 6 o'clock kickoff for that. Go to Jones on Friday, 5:45 kickoff for that. Coach, I would say despite having probably the 3 toughest teams left on the schedule, I think you've got to like where you're sitting as far as postseason and those kind of things in your odds of being able to get in there.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we're sitting in 6 right now, and the top 5 teams in our conference are all ranked in the top 10 nationally. So it's a big. We're sitting good so far. So just hoping we can pull out maybe another point, 3 points, and we'll be good to go.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. In case you didn't hear that, folks, he didn't misspeak. Well, Lady Wolves are sitting in 6th. The 5 teams ahead of them are all ranked in the top 10. How good is women's soccer in Mississippi JUCO? Pretty darn good, especially when you consider the last 2 national champions are playing in this league as well too. And it looks like Mississippi JUCO has a chance to maybe get a 3rd straight. We'll see how that goes and those kind of things. But Lady Wolves will host 2 of those top 3 teams, 2 of those top ranked teams this week, as we already mentioned. That'll wrap it up for our women's soccer segment. We'll look forward to talking to you, Coach, next week. Hopefully we'll be talking about a couple of wins.
Yeah, hopefully.
Stick with us after the break. We've got men's soccer and football coming up after this. Thanks for sticking with us through the break. And joining me now is our men's soccer head coach, JT Coward. Coach, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
And Coach, obviously it's been a couple of weeks since we talked to you. You've gone 2-2 over the last couple of weeks, including a big win over East Central, and then you closed out your non-conference portion of the schedule with a big win over Calhoun. We'll talk about those matches as well too, but first we're going to go all the way back to October 7th. You played Pearl River, lost over there and 1-0, and this is a match where it feels like if maybe you could have just gotten a couple more shots on goal, really only one shot on goal that was registered the whole match, and that maybe is kind of the difference in a 1-0. If you get maybe a couple more, you find one that may squeeze in and you may get a tie. But your thoughts overall on that? It was a hard-fought contest against a very good Wildcats team.
Yeah, in my opinion, I think Pearl River is probably the best team in our conference right now, just based off of the amount of attacking threats that they have on their front line. But no, it was a good, hard-fought game. They got a goal early in the first half, and then we just kind of battled to try and get that equalizer. Like you said, we didn't have many on target. They actually had a few mistakes in the back where it led to us to getting a couple shots. We just didn't punish them or capitalize, which kind of ended up being the story of the game.
Yeah, and you look at this one, Jamie Duran, a sophomore goalkeeper. We talk about him every week. I don't think the superlatives can stop for him. He saved 8 shots. Unfortunately, he saw 9 shots, but when you save 8 out of 9, he gave his squad every chance you could ask for in that match.
Yeah, he was rock solid for us in the back. He got us out of trouble a good bit in that game.
And then you fast forward to October 10th. You welcomed East Central. This was a group that you knew was going to bring you a hard challenge. Yep. This was a contest in the last couple of years that have been very lopsided, but you won this one 3-1. All 4 goals were scored in the second half. It was 0-0 after halftime. Your thoughts overall on this one and how your guys were able to overcome a very game Warriors bunch.
Yeah, so they're a very defensive team. They set up with 5 defenders in the back and basically tell you to come and try and break them down. And then when you overcommit, they'll try and counterattack you with numbers going forward. I thought we handled them pretty well. We were able to get a couple goals there in the second half. They equalized at one point, but then we got 2 goals late to kind of put the game to bed. Good win for us because we were right there neck and neck with them in the conference standing, so it was good to get the leg up on them.
Yeah. And you look at this one, I even mentioned it on stream. After that 0-0 first half, I said this is the closest match that this rivalry has had here lately. The last couple of years, they came to our place last year. We beat them 5-1. We went over to their place a couple of years ago. They beat us 6-0. Mm-hmm. You had a 3-1 match before that, and probably the closest match before this one was the 4-3 match where Hardy Lewis won it on a header after the Wolves gave up like a 3-0 lead and those kind of things. So, this has been an very even match outside of the last 2. But Caden Wiley scored your first goal with an assist from De La. They, as you mentioned, that they tied it in the 70th, 77th minute. Johan scored a goal with an assist from Suggsy. Finley Sugg getting an assist there. And then Hudson scored a goal with an assist from Johan. That made it 3-1 in the 83rd minute. That's how you got that win. And then this past Tuesday, you go over to Gulf Coast, you drop one 2-1, and this one you kind of feel like 2 mistakes is what cost you this match. But first we'll talk about your thoughts overall on this match, and maybe I highlighted it enough, but it's really 2 mistakes is what cost you this match.
Yeah, that one's going to sting for a little bit. So that was definitely a game where we felt like we were the better team for majority of it, and it's just 2 mistakes of our own doing, and they scored on both of them.
Yeah,
that was it.
You go ahead. You look at the box score in this one, and literally the first goal scores with 1 second on the clock. It's 44:59, and it just crosses just in time. It's one of those moments where you kind of have to remind you guys, hey, you got to play a full 45. You can't play 44 and 50. You got to play that full 45. So they had the lead. You did tie it on a PK by Johan, and unfortunately, again, they take advantage of a mistake, a little errant pass by a guy trying to get it out of the back end, and they score right there and made it 2-1. Your guys were able to get a few shots on goal after that, but a couple of really good saves by Gulf Coast, and they were able to get that 2-1 win there. But a key moment in that one again. You look at Jamie. Jamie saved 5 out of 7 shots. Again, he gave your team a chance, and that's all you can ask out of the goalie.
Yeah, I mean Gulf Coast is a good team. Give them credit. You make mistakes against the better teams in our conference, they're going to punish you, and that's pretty much what happened. Jimmy kept us in as long as he could. We created enough chances to get our own goals. It's just one of those games where it just didn't quite bounce our way.
Yeah, and now we'll talk about this this past Friday, an absolute dominant win by your bunch, 9-1. You didn't mishear me, folks. I said 9-1. You're up 6-0 at halftime. Just a match where you didn't even play your normal starting 11. I think about 5 of the guys who normally started for you in this one. Adam Hood got the starting goal. But your thoughts on how the guys were able to come out and just dominate this one, and you saw a bunch of guys were able to have some success when they were given the opportunity.
Yeah, we played these guys, I think, second game of the season and only beat them 1-0. So, we went into the game with the mindset that it was going to be a tough game. Then we scored 30 seconds into the match, and then it was second goal came, and the third goal came, and then I was able to rotate the squad around and get everybody a little bit of playing time. And then one thing I told the boys at halftime was, like, every time I've made a substitute, the level hasn't dropped. So that's been great. That's why we've been able to dominate this game. I just wanted much more of that in the second half.
And then you feel like that's momentum. Hopefully you can carry forward as well, too. You and I were talking earlier today, going back and watching the stream, you said you got a little bit of a laugh because I was a little maybe flummoxed and flabbergasted. And to be honest, I was, because as a commentator, as a play-by, you're not expecting a team to score 30 seconds into the match. I'm still welcoming people in, and all of a sudden we're striking one towards the goal. That goal was struck by Finley Sugg with an assist from Ethan Barnes. Ethan Barnes actually got 2 assists in this one. Ethan Sharp scored the second goal on a PK, Sharp's first goal of the year. Sugg gets a goal as well, too. I would argue up until a couple of goals by Johan, that probably was the goal of the match.
Sure.
Sugg struck one just right outside of the D that was just perfectly struck. I mentioned Johan, his free kick goal. It's probably one of those 2 goals. Johan's free kick goal, perfectly placed between the near post and the goalie, made it 4-0. It's 5-0 after Aiden Lowry scores his first goal of the season in the 34th minute with an assist from Jeffrey Roth. Braxton Williams scores his first goal of the season in the 41st minute with an assist from Aiden Lowry. And, at that point, when you're up 6-0, I think you go into the halftime speech and you go, all right, guys, no notes on this one.
Yeah, exactly.
47th minute, Robin Feliciano scores with an assist from Ethan Barnes. And I noticed, I made a little note in the stream at that point. I said, well, if this is the last goal that's scored, a fun little tidbit would be that Robin scored the only goal in the first game and would have scored the last goal in the second game. Unfortunately, Calhoun was able to get a little bit of a counter on a little bit of a mistake by your guys and scored a goal, made it 7-1. But then Johan scores 2 in the 64th and 1 in the 66th, an assist from De La in the 64th minute. So a hat trick for Johan. Anytime, doesn't matter who the opponent is, anytime a guy gets a hat trick, it's a special game for them. And I think that was a great moment for Johan in that one.
Yeah, he's been someone who his stats might not be quite as good as they were last season, but he's been working just as hard. So it was nice to see him get a little reward in that game.
Yeah, and you got to play both of your goalies. I know maybe didn't want to have to necessarily play Jamie in this one, but Adam Hood got the start, saved 3 of the 4 shots. He played 60 minutes. Jamie came in and played the last 10 because it was called. A little bit after that 70-minute mark, made 1 save in 10 minutes. Really great job by both the goalies as well, too.
Yeah.
For those back home, in case you didn't know, there is a new mercy rule this year in college soccer at our level. If you're up by 7 goals after the 70-minute mark, it's a complete match. Yep. So, we got just under that 70-minute mark. I think the official was letting Calhoun finish out an offensive possession, and then he called it. So now we turn our attention to your upcoming opponents this week. You've got a couple of really good opponents coming up. You're going to have your last road game at the end of the week, but before we have that one, we'll host Holmes on Tuesday. Welcome a very familiar face in their assistant coach, that aforementioned Hardy Lewis is their assistant. 8 o'clock. What do you know about the Bulldogs heading into this one?
Well, this one means a little bit extra to me. This is my alma mater, the same coach who coached me when I played in college. So it's going to be nice if I can pick up a win against my old coach. Bulldogs are good. They're a much tougher team than they were last season, which I'm sure you remember last year they beat us 2-1. We had about 30 shots in that game and only got 1 goal. So the boys are going to be hungry to come out and get all 3 points against these guys. So. But like I said earlier, they're much tougher to break down. They play a really defensive style and counterattack style, very similar to how East Central was. And so they're just going to be a difficult team to play against. hopefully we can come out and get the win.
So, and then you'll go on the road. As I mentioned, that'll be the road finale. You're going to go over to Jones. And this is a match where it feels like maybe the teams are a little bit even. I know Jones is one of the 3 best teams, but, they haven't surrendered a lot of goals this year. Our guys haven't really surrendered a lot of goals either. This is a match that maybe if it's at Wesson, do you like your odds a little bit better? I don't know, but you got to go play the schedule that's in front of you. You got to go to Jones. What do we know about the Bobcats heading into that one?
Yeah, they're one of the top teams in our conference, but like you said, I feel like the league is so close this year. I think anybody can beat anybody on any given day. You just look at some of our similar opponents. They tied Pearl River 3-3, and we took Pearl River down to the wire, and They actually lost to Itawamba last week, and we tied Itawamba. So I imagine it's going to be a really close game where either team can come out on top.
So, again, lots of good things happening for the Wolves. We look forward to this upcoming week. You've only got 3 matches left. That's kind of weird to say. It feels like we just started soccer not too long ago, and here we are already at the end of it. I know the Wolves are sitting pretty good for postseason. Heading into these final 3 matches, how do you feel about how the team's looking going into these final 3?
I feel like in the last 3 or 4 games, we've really hit our stride. We're really starting to come together, and everyone's on the same page and enjoying the soccer right now. So I've told the boys all season, I was like, look, we might have struggled in the beginning, but that's not really what matters as long as we're getting hot at the right time, right there towards the end, towards playoffs, and we're going to be a tough team to beat.
And, of course, knock on wood, it helps when everybody's feeling healthy, and you can really dig into that depth when you need to. So that will wrap up our men's soccer segment for this week. Again, lots of good happening for the men's team. They drop one to both of them on the road at Pearl River 1-0, at Gulf Coast 2-1, but pick up 2 wins on the last 2 Fridays. Something special about Fridays in Stone Stadium for the Wolves. 3-1 over East Central, 9-1 over Calhoun. They will host Holmes on Tuesday at 8 o'clock. They will go to Jones on Friday at 8 o'clock. I'll be on the call for you on Tuesday. We'll give you the streaming information for both matches as those are available. Stick with us through the break. Coming up, we're going to talk about football. They've won their last 2. Hear from Coach Davis about that after this.
When you give to the Co-Lin Foundation, your support directly benefits Co-Lin's students, faculty, and staff. Whether it's by providing scholarships for students, professional development opportunities for faculty and staff, or technology and campus upgrades, we need your support. Giving to Co-Lin offers the best value for your money as a donor. With low administrative spending and overhead, we can use your donations in tangible ways that benefit students right now. Join us as we back the pack by giving today.
Welcome back in. Thanks for sticking with us through the break, and join me now for our final segment. As always, is our head football coach, Micah Davis. Coach, thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
Coach, obviously, it's been a couple of weeks since we talked. Obviously, last week we had fall break, a little bit of a short week. So last week we kind of canned our episode with everything that we had going on. So we played a couple of games since the last time we talked. Fortunately, both of those have been wins. We won't bury the lead too much there. A couple weeks ago, you played Pearl River. You beat them 39-7. A little bit of a slow start in that one. You're able to overcome it. Your thoughts on just that game, just briefly, how the guys were able to overcome a little bit of a slow start on that one?
Yeah, I mean, we scored on basically every aspect of it on offense, threw 2 touchdowns, ran for several. I know we ran for about 300 and something yards. So, our offensive line, running backs, receivers, they all did a great job. There, as well as catching balls. We were expecting a game plan a little bit different on defense, and when we started going, it was completely different. So, our guys adjusted, and it worked out pretty good. Defensively, our guys knew that, they were kind of hurt a little bit there at quarterback, so they didn't have the, they were kind of one-dimensional, and they kept it that way, and they played hard and played good, and, I'm excited for them.
Yeah, shout out to the offensive line. Anytime when you rush for over 350, I think the final number is 380 or a little bit above that. The road graders up front are having a good day when you rush for that much.
Yeah, definitely.
So we'll go to this past Thursday, probably the biggest game on the schedule. It was a big top 10 matchup. You went over to number 4 Gulf Coast and came out with a very hard-fought, tough 27-26 win, came all the way down to the very end. Very opposite kind of start for your guys. You started out very red hot. Just thought firstly your thoughts on the game in general and how well your guys played.
I mean, we knew all week it was going to be a big game. There was no question about that. Our guys were ready. We challenged them all week to, we had to deal with fall break, and so a different schedule. So it kind of got them all a little bit out of whack. But they came out red hot, and we're ready to roll.
If you look at the numbers on this one, Gulf Coast had 493 yards of offense. 400 of that came through the air. Kind of fits their MO. They really like to throw the ball. Landon Varnes, I'll tell you, I was really impressed. He has such a quick release. It made it hard on your defensive guys to really get after him. But you look at it, 74 yards on the ground. Defense really did their job on the ground. They forced him to be one-dimensional. That dimension that they like to use is the passing game, but your thoughts overall on how well the defense. Yeah, they gave up 400 yards in the air, but it still felt like they played very well because you look at it. They had nearly a first half shutout. Pearl River didn't score until about 2 minutes left, so felt like the defense played very well for most of the game.
Yeah, I mean they, when a guy throws it for 55 times in the air, and they're trying to defend it. I mean, going back to the offense, we score on basically 2 one-play drives and a 4-play drive, and so they're playing a whole lot more than we are at the time. And they were exhausted by the end because they were playing hard. They played well. They had some catches that were kind of crazy catches that that helped them out. But overall, I thought they played really well. They created 3 turnovers in the air. The D-line and linebackers, they hit the quarterback, which we wanted to do. And, so I think they did what we wanted them to do. So we just got to be able to, stop them, try not to, get as many yards. But, I give all the credit to them.
And we'll talk about the impact players for the Wolves. You look at, again, it all starts with the quarterback. Jalen Petway was 13 of 20, 144 yards, 2 touchdowns. Did have a fumble, I think that led to a touchdown late in that game. But your thoughts overall on how well Jalen played, minus that fumble, he really took care of the ball. The team as a whole took care of the ball really well. It was a solid game from Jalen, I felt like.
Yeah, Jalen played really well. He had a hard week early on. With some bad news he had with his family, but he was able to overcome that. Guys surrounded him, and that I think that's what makes our guys a really good group of guys to be around. But Jalen, he played well. He did what we asked him to do. Probably should have put him in more situations to throw a ball because he started I think 8 for 8 with the game, and it was red hot. And but he did everything I asked him to do. Got it to our playmakers, and and had opportunities to have some more yards there at the end of the game with misplay here or there.
And, we can't talk about the impact players if we don't talk about the rushing game and talk about Martavius Boswell. People may be sick of hearing about Martavius Boswell, but when he carries the ball 13 times for 134 yards, 2 touchdowns, average 10.3 yards per carry. Oh, by the way, he's got 890 yards on the season. If he hits his season average, he's going to be over 1,000 after this upcoming game. The superlatives just keep coming from Martavius, and I don't think you can say enough of how good of a player he is.
No, he's averaging about 13, 14 carries, and it's a little over probably 10 to 11 yards a carry, and he's doing everything we asked him to do. They played a little bit different front than we expected for the whole game, and so some of the stuff had to change a little bit. But his long run, we have everybody blocked up. He had to beat the safety, and of course he did, and took it to the house. But he's done well, and the other running backs are playing well too, and we're just trying to. Got to keep it going.
Yeah. For everybody back home, just to add to the numbers, Martavius is first in the conference, as I mentioned, in total yards. He's first in the conference in yards per game at about 127. He's first in average per carry at 9.6. He's second in touchdowns at 11. He's top 3 in the nation in all 4 of those categories as well, too. So that tells you just how special of a player Martavius Boswell is. You look at the receiving game. Matt Mayfield was your leading receiver, had 4 receptions for 50 yards, a touchdown. Darnell O'Quinn had a touchdown reception as well for you, too. But again, this is a game where Jalen really spread it out. Cameron Pittman had a reception, Q Tillman, Jabraxton Boone, Jordan Richardson, Des Ray, all with receptions as well too. And there were a couple of passes that he threw that guys just couldn't bring in. I know Trevor Fortenberry had one. He was going to the ground on it, thought he had it there for a moment, wasn't able to complete the catch. But your receivers, I felt, played a really solid game as well too.
Yeah, they did. We're trying to incorporate them more and more each week, and those guys want the ball, so we're doing what we can to get them in their hands as quick as possible and let them have a chance to make a play.
Yeah, and Ty Jones had a pretty solid night in the King game as well too. Had a field goal attempt blocked late, in the third quarter, was 3 or 4 on extra points. You kind of want to put maybe a little bit of a caveat on that blocked field goal. He went out there, give him a lot of credit too. If you gave an Iron Wolf award, I think it would go to Ty in this game. Got hurt, early in this game, averaged 46 yards across 5 punts, had a long of 52. 4 of those 5 went inside the 20 and averaged 63 yards on 5 kickoffs with 1 touchback. So despite being a little bit banged up, Ty played through it, and I felt played really well for you.
Yeah, he took a pretty good hit there on one of the punts. Went down. I think he got landed up on his ankle, and it was just plain ankle. So when he's, kicking off in field goals, so the one field goal was pretty low, and I think it had a little bit to do with that. But he was tough. I'm proud of him for sticking it out and, give us a chance not have to go with our backup plans and everything. So, but he did a good job overall.
And you look at your defensive guys. Archie Chambers led the way. He had 10 tackles. His biggest play, I felt like, was the 54-yard interception return that we'll talk a little bit later. That ultimately led to what was the game-winning touchdown for you. Jonathan Crane had a solid day, 9 tackles. Doug Nelson, Lonnie Smith, both with 7 as well, too. Lee Holmes, Trenton Rocker with 6. Lonnie led the team in sacks with 1.5 tackles for 2.5. Just up and down again. We talk about it every week. Guys really just shined for you, and the guys that you expect to shine for you did their job.
Yeah, I mean, we actually got 3 guys that are actually former Gulf Coast players, and I think all 3 of them played well. Deshaun McGee, former guy, he's the first one that had the interception, and it set up the touchdown there in the first quarter and to go up 20-0. And but overall, all those guys play well each week, and they were exhausted by the end of the game. No telling how many snaps they played, but they definitely deserved it. So, and
now we'll get into the game itself, really into the meat of it. You look at the game. You get the opening kickoff. Gulf Coast won the toss. We won the toss, deferred. Whoever won the toss and deferred. You get the ball first. Cannon Cato has the longest kickoff return we've had in a while, returned it 74 yards, gave you a real short field. 4 plays later, Darnell O'Quinn gets a 4-yard touchdown pass from Petway. You're up 7-0. You blink and you've got to score on the first drive, and you got to be feeling really good that you're able to go out there first drive and get a touchdown.
Yeah, I mean, we wanted to start fast, and that's what we did. Coach Thompson preaches those guys each week, trying to average over 32 yards per return, and it does not hurt at all making the first one going 77 and starting in the red zone.
Right, and then you look, and it looks like Gulf Coast is going to respond. They drive deep into our territory. They go for it on 4th down. Defense stands tall. That was kind of a theme of the night. There weren't a lot of punts by Gulf Coast, and your guys only allowed them 50% on 4th down conversions. They were 4 of 8, but they go for it on 4th down. You turn the ball over. This was a 1-play drive. This was a Martavius special. I told Bryce Perry during the game while we were taking photos, I saw Jalen hand him the ball. I saw the hole open up, and I just held down the button and let the play happen. And 77 yards later, he's waving goodbye to everybody. Just a special play right there. And that really kind of felt like it really seized all the momentum our way early.
Yeah, I mean, as a play caller, 1-play calls, it doesn't get any better than that.
And, so then you come out, your defense is feeling really good. They've gotten a couple of stops. And this was that you just mentioned, Deshaun McGee picks off a pass. I think it got tipped maybe a couple of times, and he was able to secure it. And you have the ball on their 36 and pulled a little trickeration out of the old playbook there. You ran a little reverse flea flicker. Jalen Petway hit Matt Mayfield. I told some of the guys, I said, there wasn't anybody in the same zip code with Matt on this play. You're just sitting there. I think there's a coach. You're just sitting there, wait for the ball and catch it. Just wait for the ball and catch it. 36-yard pass here. This was the PAT that was missed, but you're up 20-0, and there's still 4 minutes to go in the first quarter. And, I think at this point, this was probably the rowdiest the sideline had been all game up to that point.
Yeah, I mean, it was exciting. It really was. I mean, we were all jumping up and down. And I actually scored on the same play 2 years ago against them. Just a different guy called it, and but they executed it exactly like we wanted it, and our defense put us in a situation to set up the score, and it was rowdy on the sideline.
And that score holds for a long time. As I mentioned, your defense really kind of stood up. They were stood to the task, forced a couple of turnovers on downs. Gulf Coast really didn't get close to the end zone until they were close to the red zone until they scored late in the second quarter. They scored on a little 4-yard pass, made it 20-6. And at that point, it still feels like all the momentum's ours. It's still going our way. What's the message to the guys knowing, hey, we still got 2 more quarters to play. This team is good. They're going to find a way. If you give them a chance, they're going to find a way to get back into it. What's the message to the guys going forward?
Yeah, I mean, we knew that they were a big third-quarter team. They thought they came out slow in the first part of the game. But the second half, that's kind of where they made a bunch of their push and stuff. And so we had to make sure of that, and we had to make sure on offense we had to keep going. And The big thing was just keep pushing. So.
And as you mentioned, the second half really kind of belonged to Gulf Coast. They came out on their first possession, scored on that first possession, had a really big fourth down conversion on that one. Next play was a 32-yard touchdown pass, made it 20-13. Good news is defense is again up to the task. Offense kind of sputtered out a little bit, but defense, this is when Archie Chambers picked off that pass, returned it 54 yards all the way down to about the Bulldog 14. You threw a touchdown pass to Cameron Pittman. He got up at Q Tillman, my bad. Q Tillman got upended on the 1-yard line. Martavius powers it in. This is ultimately what is the game-winning touchdown in many factors. You look at it, you're up 27-13 at this point, and there's about 9 minutes left in the third quarter. You've got to like your chances of being able, with the way the defense was playing, with able to seal this one out.
Yeah, I mean, it always feels good being up 2 scores, but they were an electric offense, knew it was going to come down to the wire, so we just had to keep going.
Yeah. And they took the ball. Again, we got the ball back. I believe there was another interception. This was when, and that drive was when Jalen Petway fumbled the ball. Had just a little bit of a bad sequence there. That drive resulted in a touchdown. It was a 13-play, 88-yard drive, made it 27-20. With 9:32 left in the fourth quarter. And again, it was just back and forth between the defenses and offense at that point. Gulf Coast scores with 53 seconds left and made it 27-26. And, I think a lot of people since this game have asked me, why did Gulf Coast go for 2 at that point? And I told them, I said, he's playing for the win. I don't think you can blame Coach Wright for that at that moment, but our guys made the biggest play of the night outside of recovering that onside kickoff. You recover the onside kickoff, you're able to nail the ball out. But your thoughts overall on how well the defense stepped up and really forced that incompletion on the 2-point conversion?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, they had played a bunch of plays all night. 15-play drive, 11-play drive. So they played a lot more than obviously we did on offense. But, they stood tall and, they knew what was at stake at that last play. And, they did a really good job. Yeah,
just to reiterate what you're saying, 82 offensive snaps is what Gulf Coast had. So that's a lot of snaps on a lot of defensive guys. But again, the guys stood tall. You got the win 27-26, and it really kind of puts you in the driver's seat. You really like your odds of where you're sitting for postseason play going into what's going to be your final South Division game that we're going to talk about here in a moment.
Yeah, I mean, it is. Obviously, we control our own destiny, and, this is a big game. We got to win it. We win it, we're in, and no matter what, just kind of have to wait on some other games as the season goes on.
So you just mentioned it. We're going to welcome in East Central, but this is a big game, not just from the South Division point. It's homecoming. It's also sophomore night. It's a special night for your guys. They get a chance to be honored before the game. We get to announce the homecoming court as well, too. Get to welcome a lot of alumni back, but we're going to play East Central. This is a team that, had we played this game a week before, maybe the odds feel a little bit different, but this is a team who is going to come in feeling really good. They got a win against Jones this past week, 21-7. What do we know about the Warriors heading into this game?
I mean, Coach Webster does a great job. I mean, he's a great coach. Does a really good job there on defense. Offensively, they are play away from a touchdown every time. And they do a lot of things on offense, on defense. So practice wise, we're having to make sure that we cover everything, and I think that's what gives them a little bit of an advantage when it comes into playing games.
So we're expecting a hard-fought South Division contest. Again, it'll be the South Division play finale, as the Wolves will go on the road the next week to Northeast. We'll preview that game after this one as well, too. But, Coach, thanks for joining us. We look forward to talking to you next week, hopefully talking about another Wolves win and looking forward to the playoffs as well, too. That will wrap up our show for this week. Lots of good things happening in Wolves athletics. Again, as a reminder, football will host East Central for homecoming, 6:30 kickoff for that one. We'll also have sophomore night activities. We'll honor the football student trainer and cheerleader sophomores before kickoff. We'll honor the band sophomores during the homecoming and halftime celebration as well, too. So we'll come over to that. We'll look forward to having everybody here for that. As a reminder, soccer is also playing too this week, their final week where they have 2 games for the regular season, bringing down the regular season for them. They'll host Holmes on Tuesday, 6 and 8. Go to Jones on Friday, 6 and 8 for those as well, too. I'm Kevin Kyzar, Sports Information Coordinator here at Co-Lin. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you next week.